All right. So update on Washington State, Oregon State. Per Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports, he wrote a big, long article about where these two schools have turned their attention. And the focal point of this was the Mountain West. That when it comes to next year, Washington State and Oregon State have to somehow figure out how they're going to schedule out their games. And that's the big conversation right now. Will they have Oregon in there? Will they have Washington in there to play? Will they have a Nevada? Will they throw in a San Diego State? Who will they get to piece together a 12-team schedule? Now, what is really interesting, I think that the article, if you've read it, and if you haven't, I do encourage you to read this one. I think Ross Dellinger is one of the best. I really enjoy his work. If you read it, it misses some points here. It kind of alludes to the fact that Kirk Schultz is on the college football playoff committee, that he is one of the ones who calls the shots here. And what it misses on is it says, someone associated, a high-ranking official, the president of Washington State, is on the board of the college football playoff committee, but it doesn't completely divulge into the fact that he's got full power to block things moving forward. So Dellinger makes the case that these two teams will not be a Power 5 conference over the course of the next 2 years, which technically, no, you're right. They will be effectively independents. However, by virtue of a 2-year grace period they've been given to still be the Pac-12, technicality rules that they are a Power 5 conference. And even more than that, when you're Washington State and your Oregon State coming to the table, you have a whole guy who's helping make the calls in the college football playoff committee. And when everybody has to vote unanimously on every topic to change anything, I don't think Kirk Schultz is going to vote for his two teams to be considered Group of 5 or his teams to be considered independent, for them to be just Notre Dame. That doesn't seem like he's going to go that route of, you know what, I'll settle. We're fine. We'll just sit and who cares? No, of course not. You wouldn't. So I do think it misses there a little bit, but the update effectively says that the Pac-12, with its implosion, leaving universities like Washington State, Oregon State on the cutting room floor, the next big thing is to figure out where those two schools go with this lawsuit. If they get the assets, there are millions hung up when it comes to March Madness, millions hung up for college football playoff, for bowls. Who gets to take over those millions of dollars? And if it's just Washington State and Oregon State, if it's just two teams that are bringing home a gajillion dollars here, that's when, to me, conferences like the Big 12, the ACC, will look at expansion in the direction of Oregon State and Washington State. Do I think that them going to the Big 12 is completely off the table? No, and I do believe we should look at this closely still. I told you that until this whole lawsuit stuff is wrapped up a month from now, there will be very little clarity on where these two teams go. While they're in talks with some Mountain West schools, I'm positive, based on the vernacular and rhetoric that Kirk Schultz has brought out, they don't want to be Group of 5. These two schools are not going to settle to be Group of 5. And as long as they have a vote on the college football playoff committee, they're not going to sit around and wait for everybody else in that conference to go to their Power 5 schools, and then they themselves sit and be independent. They themselves sit without an opportunity to go to the college football playoff, or them merging with the Mountain West. To me, I look at these two schools and no, it's obvious they don't want to do that. They want to stay Power 5, especially, Dellinger writes about this, when it comes to Olympic sports. They want to give their Olympic sports the best chance possible to go to a national championship, to compete for a national championship. And you can't really do that in the Mountain West. That's tough to do in the Mountain West. Now, I get it, right? Like a Nevada baseball team can still go win the College World Series. A Nevada basketball team can still go win March Madness. You just don't get a ton of that. Now, I don't think that's where Washington State and Oregon State, from a money standpoint, want to be either, because that's not, albeit that payout in the Pac-12 wasn't great, it's not the money they've been getting. They are going to go as hard as possible to fight to be Power 5. That I'm confident in. And good article from Dellinger, good article, misses a couple of the key points. It brushes over too quickly the fact that Kirk Schultz has so much power in this and where he wants to go, where he will take this with both of these schools, because it seems like he's really wrapped up Oregon State in his embrace as well. So as we monitor this through the lawsuit the next month, that there's the clarity is coming into view a little bit, that Oregon State and Washington State are at least in talks with the Mountain West to try to put something together, worst case scenario, for next year's schedule. What will it do past that? We don't know. What will all of college football do past 2026? We don't know. There's not a college football playoff agreement. And Kirk Schultz going to probably continue to block that until his school is figured out. There's not really a TV deal for the college football playoff past 2026. What's going to happen there? We got to just keep it in the register. Keep it on top of mind here because this stuff about to get nuts. This has been It Always Will Be. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Come back tomorrow. It's the fastest 30 minutes in sports. Doce Grande.